Hello, how are you today? Lovely day for all of us today, and I would like to say welcome. Welcome to where? Welcome to another college, University of Learning, the NTA. Why do I say that? I would like to remind all who's asked me this question to sit tight and have the answer. NTA for me is a university. Programs Directorate is my faculty, and Weekend Deal remains my department. The course is Taxation 101, and we have guests, coming up. There's a whole lot to learn, and I know that Leadership Sunday today is also talking about the same thing. When it says revenue drives, suffering, setback, and over only 10 out of 100 taxation generates revenue. That's a whole lot for us to know, and Elizabeth knows nothing about this. So it's a good time for me to, relax and, upgrade my brain a little bit. So let's sit back together and get the background there before the lecturers start rolling in one by one.
As a matter of fact and obligation, every individual, whether resident or non-resident in Nigeria, persons in paid employment or business, or persons who derive their income from Nigeria, as well as companies that operate in Nigeria, are all liable to pay tax. But it becomes worrisome when you have to pay all manner of taxes.
COVID-19 has thrown in a lot of challenges. It's not like multiple taxes just starting. It has always been an issue. It has always been a challenge. But then this COVID-19 issue has made everything rather unusual as it is now. All these shortfalls are putting pressure on government finances. So we now see people resorting to self-help, as it were, because that is what it is looking like with the multiplicity of taxes that we have, trying to show up revenue. So, but then, multiplicity of tax would have been difficult if, on the other hand, the people know the right taxes they ought to pay. We see a lot of ambiguity in some of our tax laws that give loopholes for some of these people to explore and keep coming up with all manner of taxes. It is not good for a good tax system.
Following harsh reality of global decline of crude oil price, it has become obvious that Nigeria can no longer rely on oil revenue to sustain the economy. Hence, the Federal Executive Council on 11 September 2019 approved 7.5 as new VAT rate for the country as against 5%.
For the issue of the value-added tax, I would say it's neither here nor there. Reason being that if you look at the percentage that government has increased VAT, it's still one of the lowest even in Africa subcontinent. Our VAT rate is, we have countries in Africa where VAT rate is as high as 15-20%.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service, as part of measures to reduce dispute in real estate-related transactions and generate more revenue, has announced that stamp duty will be paid on house rent and certificate of occupancy, in line with its new adhesive duty.
Stamp duty in itself is not a new tax. It has been there all along. It's just been dormant, so to say. As to whether it is putting more hardship on the populace, it still boils down to the issue of plus and minuses. Now, what should we be looking at? There are merits to the stamp duty in itself, because as you know, it gives legal backing to contractual agreements. So it's taken that there's benefit to it. Now, the issue is the cost to the citizenry.
The need for training and retraining of those who collect taxes cannot be overstated, as it has become an all-comers affair.
If you go to the FRS and the various state internal revenue, they are quite professional, and they are well trained, and then they know their onions. Now, coming back to the local government level, merely looking at the environment within which they operate, you could tell that these people are not trained. Okay, they employ all manner of persons to pursue the taxes that they are doing. Yes, like you said, what they are doing is not too far from touting, and it is not good for a good tax system.
Effective tax drive is achieved through efficient tax administration and tax system reforms. These elements also create a tax culture, reduced incidences of corruption and tax evasion.
If the citizens are thinking they are being overtaxed, government need to sit down. There's the joint tax board who looks at these things holistically. Let them look at these taxes. Okay, if there are duplicity of taxes, how do we eliminate them? How do we streamline our taxes such that the citizens are not overburdened? The percentage of persons paying taxes today are quite insignificant, just about 27% thereabout. They are still the same persons these multiple taxes fall upon. Okay, what we should be aggressively pursuing is to increase the tax net, not overburdening those who are paying already.
Our focus on Weekend Deal today is on multiple taxation in Nigeria, challenges and prospects.
All right, multiple taxation is still our focus, and I know that Charles Obike took time to look at the prospects and challenges, and let's see it from his perspective.
Taxes are paid in the sweat of every man who labors. In avoidance of multiple taxation, citizens of Nigeria are grieved with the rates of charges linked with revenue generation by government agencies.
After paying the tax, this we're supposed to pay as a citizen, we still have other multiple taxation you pay in one way or the other. Especially they will come in the name of AMAC. As you can see, you can look at this one now. This is they call this one business premises, which you pay 30,000 naira for. Then after this one, you have to pay for environmental. After the environmental, those will also come. You pay for advert. That is for the signposts you have in your shop. All those things are being taxed for one person, one particular person. Then after that also we have buses we normally use to convey the goods. Those buses, you can see this one now. You pay this one annually. This one annually is about 28,000 naira. You pay to the same AMAC to enable you drive the buses because it's a commercial bus. After that, you have to buy a daily ticket. Also, you can see this one with receipt. And some of them, you make those payments, not even to AMAC account. They will give you individual names to make the payment to. You can see this one. This one now, they call this one a daily ticket. This daily ticket also is 15,000 naira. For the same bus, if there is any way government can make it, let it be one-way payment. Let them put all those charges together, harmonize it. We can be paying it once instead of paying in a different way, which we are not even sure that it's going to AMAC's account.
No, there's nothing like that. We just normally pay tax. There's no any charges since we are here.
Any income produced or accrued by citizens, residents, and investors is subject to tax.
Taxation is an important element. It's a good source of income to the federal government or to any government. However, what people are not happy about is excessiveness of it. There are income tax which anybody must pay and get tax clearance certificate. And there are trade taxes, like taxes for being in these premises to do business, yes. But what are these taxes that they talk about, television and radio? And the amount is so outrageous that it baffles anybody to think about it. Why should you ask somebody who has radio and television to pay 200,000 naira, which is far larger than the price of even buying a television?
To determine the holistic account for economic and social ties, revenue authorities encourage and impose taxation at various scope of benefits.
If people pay income tax and they pay their companies which are registered, pay tax to Federal Inland Revenue and state internal, the FCT Internal Revenue Services. Why are you trying to tax them out of life? We are asking that this should be reviewed and brought to acceptable levels.
There have been attempts in years to curtail marginal tax rates on incomes of business owners, which many consider should be properly streamlined to ease business. Analytically, the nature of multiple taxation requires empirical examination at central, state, and local government revenue bodies for effective econometric growth of Nigeria. We must care for each other more and tax each other less.
All right, it's sad when you feel you are cheated out of a given business, no matter how it's coming from. So that's how I felt those men felt when they felt they were being double taxed. All right, so all the Matthews, I don't know. Our lecturers will still be educating us on how to go about that to ensure that we get just to pay the right thing and at the right time as well. And with that, we go to Kano State. I know that Kano is one home where a lot is happening when it comes to industrialization, labor works, textile and all that. How are the small and medium scale enterprises coping with the multiple taxation there?
This is Sharada Small Scale Industries Cluster, which houses more than 240 different kinds of small scale entrepreneurships. The cluster is a beehive of activity for local products manufacturing, ranges from plastics, cooking oil extraction, and recycling of waste products to wealth. In spite of its contribution to the development of the nation's economy in terms of employment generation and local content enhancement, the cluster is to spared from one of the problems affecting the growth of the business in the country, which is the negative impact of multiple taxation.
See, different multiple taxation are coming from the agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, local government, different multiple people. They come when you are doing your productions. They come and say you have to pay the taxation. While you are busy on your production, you don't have time to go to verify it. It affects our business.
What is the response of the concerned authority on this development?
People don't want to pay taxes. We are aware of the outcry, but there is need for us to even understand the concept of taxation. In Nigeria, we have 3 tiers of government. We have the federal, we have the state, and we also have the local governments. So the same thing with the issue of taxes being collectible. Every tier of government is vested with responsibility to collect taxes. The issue is it is not a multiple taxation per se, but the concept of collecting the taxes. The tiers of government are operating separately, so people need to be aware of kind of taxes they are supposed to pay.
In addition to the issue of multiple taxation, there are some challenges facing the growth and development of small-scale industries in Kano.
Number one problem now is this issue of electricity, or let's say KEDCO. When we talk of KEDCO, the charges KEDCO are doing or are charging our people in Kano is beyond what one should think about it. Because what they are charging in Lagos, in fact in Kano they are charging 68 naira per kilowatt, while in some states they are charging 20, 30, 40. Why this amount in Kano?
In this regard, the government's economic growth program through local industrialization can be fully achieved if necessary attention can be accorded to small-scale industries in the country.
That's it from Kano State. And like I said, we move around and make sure we have a holistic view on what is happening. We're going to go to Lagos and particularly look at how it's affecting the motorists, the taxi drivers. And I know there are strings of incomes coming in from different sectors of transportation. Let's see what Lagos has on multiple taxation.
Lagos, Nigeria's economic capital, is the most populous state. The city has grappled with transport challenges for many decades, including taxes and levies imposed by federal, state and local government tax authorities. It is a fact that in civilized communities, people must pay tax. But talking about multiple taxation on commercial drivers and motorcyclists has created a hostile business environment for many businesses in Nigeria. Its impact on taxi drivers and motorcyclists have become unbearable. Are the monies collected by transport unions regarded as tax?
Tax is a compulsory payment that is levied against residents of the state. It's totally different from what the unions collect. But the dues that are paid by the transporters to the unions are what it is, dues. So it's totally different from tax.
The crude way of collecting money from that, the body concerned, I mean the commercial drivers and the transport owners, is not tax. It's a very crude way. It's not allowable.
How much do you pay to Agberus on daily basis?
We pay at most, sometimes per day we pay about 1,006.
Yeah, we paid 700 naira per day. So there in Abuja, we pay 1,100 naira.
We pay ticket for Aguro 500 naira. If I live this area, I reach like Mushi or Ideraba. Now another ticket we go buy.
It might interest you to know that commercial bus drivers and Okada riders have to pay exorbitantly to remain in the business. It is more worrisome where different taxes or levies are on the same income or profit base. The cost of dues vary, but commercial drivers say they generally pay 3 types of dues: the booking, loading fee, and tickets.
The booking fee is 300 naira here. Why Agoda is 300? So tickets here is 200. Why Agoda there, the ticket is 900 naira. There was a time that government issued only 1 ticket. That at least we enjoy it. That only that ticket, government they do collect 800 naira. So it affected the Agberu.
If a government can work in collaboration with a transport union, whereby the issue of tickets, the fee will be brought down to a very reasonable amount.
This extortion stifles socio-economic growth in the state, as these taxi drivers have to pay through tooth and nail to remain in business. What is your organization doing to checkmate this extortion for tax purpose on bus drivers and motorcyclists?
We want to try and bring them into the tax net and make sure that they are, fulfilling their own part of the social contract.
This issue of issuing ticket from one point to another should be eradicated. Instead, let us have a centralized ticket point whereby you obtain your ticket for plying that road on daily basis.
The power of taxing people and their property is essential to the very existence of the government. Transportation is an essential part of human activity and in many ways formal basis of socio-economic interactions. Therefore, multiple taxation on commercial drivers and motorcyclists should be looked into, as this extortion stifles and kills businesses and cripples socio-economic growth in the state.
It is still weekend deal, and I told you lots of lecturers will be here to ensure that the topic is driven home in the right way. See questions coming in, from the other students behind the camera. I'll have to collect all of them and get our lecturer to talk to us. Oh, okay, my guest today. All right, my lecturer and my guest today is a doctor of economic security, and he is known as Dr. Hassan Sadiq. Nice to have you join us.
Thank you.
All right, so as a student, I told everybody to have their pen and their paper. So I have mine. All right, so we go right away to ask a few questions. Let me start from the audience you're not seeing who sent in questions earlier. One of them said he wants to be clarified on the difference between state and local collections. That's states and local revenue collections, and that's from Yusuf in Suleja.
Yes, okay. I think for knowledge sake, since it's a student who answered those questions, when you talk of taxations is a compulsory levy on the government for fiscal policy to generate revenue to be able to solve the need of the people by the government. This is taxations, because every nation must have a revenue base that you generate your income that now is to propel growth for economic growth of any society. This is taxations. Now, he asked the questions about local government. Yes, there are different levy that tiers of government collect. As he said, local, state, and federal. You could see that before the FIRS take collections of personal income tax. But today, it has now sorted that the state you reside should collect your personal income tax. Why the company income tax is collected by the federal, which is the FIRS. If you look at this now, it has already distinguished between the state and the federal.
Okay, so
yes,
companies
income tax.
Okay,
yes,
federal,
which is FIRS.
Then personal income
tax, it is the state.
You see, in the class we say SARS to our lecturer, sir.
Yes.
All right. So you see, this class is taxation 102.
102.
So a lot of us, that means it's beginners. I want to be able to clear out something. The woman who owns a tailoring company.
Yes.
She owns it, maybe runs it within her home, sitting room.
Yes.
Is also earning that money. So she could call it my personal income tax. Should she also be paying to federal government or state?
No. When you say personal income tax,
okay,
it means what you earn
okay,
as an individual.
All right.
That is why it is being called personal income tax, PIT.
Okay.
Now, when you talk of company income tax, CIT, basically the company is an entity of its own.
I mean, this is big enough.
Exactly.
Okay.
I, as today, my company pay me salary, but that salary being paid to me, it now become my personal income tax.
Okay,
because if I'm not working in that company, then they don't have responsibility of paying me my salary or allowances.
Okay, so when you say
yes,
company, does it include the small enterprises?
All anything you call companies.
Okay.
Yes, it now called, that is corporate taxes. Yes, but now referring to the questions you are asking, yes, a woman who has a tailoring shops, for example, they are small medium tax. It depends if that his tailoring does not have a name.
Once it has a name?
Yes, once you have a name, because you register with CSC, you have a TIN number that FRS has been given to you, and you have a CSC registration number. It has now become a corporate. But in the situations where you are operating and you don't have any name, that now become personal. So if a money is being paid to you for sewing a particular cloth for me, and I don't have a corporate name, I paid into your personal account, that's become personal income.
Okay. So it's good to have these things clear. So in other words, if I own a company,
yes,
and that company is big enough for me to register with CSC,
yes,
I pay to FRS.
Exactly.
At the same time, do I still need to pay another personal income tax?
Yes.
Oh, really?
I have my personal income tax. I pay to FCT because I reside here.
Okay.
It's called FCT FIRS.
So you pay
yes,
under,
IRS.
What's your company name?
Hasino Group.
Okay, so
Limited.
you pay under Hasino Group.
I pay under Hasino Group.
And then you still pay as
I pay my own personal income tax because my company pay me, put me on a salary scale. So whatever I earn as personal, that is what I now pay my personal income tax. And it's not multiple taxation? That is not multiple taxation.
Okay, it's good to know.
Yes. If we are now talking of multiple taxations, it's a charges that the levy you pay on various items, either from one tiers or the other, as I've said. A state is a tiers, federal is tier, local government is there. So there are levies that individual of this now take their own charges, because a personal income tax is based on the places where I reside. But a corporate, it is responsible of the federal, which is FRS, to now make sure at the end of the year, before proceeding year, you have submitted your audited account. On that basis, then you pay certain amount of money from the profit you have earned as at over 1 year. Then you submit it in the next proceeding year.
Someone here is asking, Mr. Hassan, please, can you explain where and how one can pay personal income tax?
Yes, you pay personal income tax in the state where you reside. Because if you have sometimes again, because sometimes the state are not also doing enough, because they are supposed to broadcast areas where they have the offices. If you look at Abuja now, for FRS, they have offices in different area, depending where you're located. We do our filing at the central area because the office is located at Gariki. So state 2 also should be able to broadcast their addresses, various locations where you are. If you take Kogi, for example, and you are in Ampa, you don't necessarily need to come to Lokoja, because the state revenue should have an office in Ampa. If you are in Okene, the same thing, then you pay it there. So the person should try to find out where does he locate and where is it designated for that locations to be able to pay in their tax.
All right, we still have most students online, and some of them are not writing their names. You better write your name so the lecturer can score you properly. All right, so but this is a question. He said, I have a property in Ibadan. I work and pay tax in Lagos. My question now is, can I use my payee tax for my property acquired in Lagos?
Is payee tax?
Yes.
To acquire?
To pay for property acquired in Lagos. Meanwhile, he lives in Ibadan.
No, well, if he lives in Ibadan,
yes,
he must have to pay the property tax for that state. As I've said, yes, if he's also in Lagos, he pay because he works in Lagos. If he earn money in Lagos, his personal income should pay to Lagos state. But why the property who is in Ibadan, he has to pay it there?
All right.
Yes.
This question
because the property is situated in another state. Yes, the land authority is in that state. So any income from that property has to be paid for that state.
This man is still very persistent. I don't know. His name is Yusuf. I think what he's asking here is let me read it the way he said it. I own a small business, but what confuses me more about these tax collectors is you see them come in different categories, first local government, states, even federal. I want to be more cleared on who among them is entitled to collect my tax. Mind you, he said he owns a small business enterprise, because this is a question that is running around almost everybody writing in. So how do we get to know which tax I should pay to who?
Okay. If I may use a personal example, the businesses we have. Local governments normally come to offices where you have a business premises and ask you to pay the name.
For name? For
name that you, like an advert.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Signboard.
Signboard.
Okay.
That you are operating a business here based on this name, you pay this tax, which that now belongs to
local government. That's local government.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, the company name you have that you are using, that is now corporate tax you pay to federal inland revenue.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I have a business registered and I pay to the federal inland revenue, but I don't have a signboard displayed, I don't need to pay.
No, it's not you don't need to pay. It depends how the tax collector gets to know. Because if you don't have a name that is exposed, how will people identify you and bring businesses to you?
No, I could be a tailor, like I always say, and then I'm working from home. People know I'm sewing and I'm sewing well.
Yes, that is.
And it comes in, but I don't have any form of publicity.
Yes, if
do
you
I
don't,
still need to pay local government?
No, because you see, that is where the difficulties in tax collections also come. As I've said, if you are a tailor and you don't have a corporate name, you stay in your house, people knows you are a tailor, you don't have a name. They only pay to your name. If I'm to transfer money to you or to go to bank and pay, I pay in your personal name. That has not transformed into a corporate. That is quite different.
No, my scenario is different.
Yes.
I have a corporate name registered.
Registered differently.
You know, NTA, Elizabeth Tailoring Association.
Yes.
I register it.
Yes.
But I don't have any printed anything.
Yes.
It has flyer, handbill, signboard, whatever. To advertise I am here.
Yes.
If AMAC comes to collect,
Yes.
am I supposed to pay them?
Yes, you have to pay because
Wow.
you are operating a
That's
business.
double pay now.
No, you cannot call that double because the name you register is what you call yourself. But simply because you did not place a name outside does not mean you don't have a name. But sometimes the tax collector have intelligence so that people who are hiding, there are manufacturers today, everybody will tell you they hide, but they are producing, they are manufacturing.
Wow.
If you are passing, you will not know that this particular gate, this is what they do there.
The size of my billboard, does it also determine the size of money I pay?
Yeah, the company who are into advertising also determine what size of billboard do you place, what type of signage do you put in your office as a name. That now determine. But the most important thing is that once you are operating a business, you must have to pay tax.
Okay.
Yes,
We
because
learn
it's
every day.
compulsory. Because that is where government, that's why I said it's a compulsory levy for physical policy of government, for economic growth, to be able to carry out the responsibility of government in terms of infrastructure, we transcend to economic growth. Those who hide on that, if the government now come and say, look, we have a program for those small entrepreneur, come and register if you're a tailor.
All right, let's talk to more of your students online. This one says the indirect tax system is being carried out by the FIRS or the state. Okay, I guess the question is asking who carries out the indirect tax. That's Abraham from Port Harcourt.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, you need to understand, let's understand what is indirect tax. Indirect tax are taxes that has a fix that we know it. This is what you pay. So if a state has such structure, the state collect it. If the federal has structure, the federal collect it. So that does not mean because it's indirect tax, state does not have responsibility of collecting. No, it depends the item on the list that call indirect or direct tax. So once the item is being established, then it has a fix. Then from there, you know who to pay to directly.
Okay.
Yes.
What about stamp duty? Somebody is asking. Arigi, you didn't write where you're writing from, is asking stamp duty, whose job is it to collect it?
Yes, FRS collects stamp duty. It depends what item are you paying stamp duty on. That is where you now pay the stamp duty.
Okay.
Yes, it depends on the item you have to pay stamp duty.
Duty on.
Yes, on.
All right. All right. We will be going on a break a little bit, and somebody is asking me a question here. But this your question, I'll answer it with a feature later on. But for now, let me quickly say thank you to my first lecturer, my visiting professor on set, Doctor. I know he's a I know he's a doctor, but I said my visiting professor on set. So Dr. Hassan Sadiq, the doctor of economic security. Thank you so much. I have learned quite a whole lot. So if I'm going to open a business, I will not register it too. I don't want to pay too tax.
If you don't register it, how do you carry out your business? Yes.
I'll answer that question later.
Okay.
All right, let's take a break. All right, weekend deal, and we're still talking taxation, multiple taxation. I want to take a question here by Abodering, and it says, I run a school which is registered with Oyo State government. As at now, I'm paying my tax to the state government. If I register with the CAC, how can I pay my tax and the state will still recognize it? All right, I told you that I will take this question and answer it to the feature, and Dayo is going to do that for us. Let's see.
Education is one of the ventures whose profit is exempted from taxes by the provisions of Section 23, subsection 1C of the Company Income Tax Act, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2007. The Nigerian government sees education as one of the critical priorities. This relevance of an educational system in which private schools complement educational service delivery cannot be overemphasized. It is a well-known fact that these private educational institutions charge significantly high fees relative to public educational institutions.
They use those they call technical partners, consultants. They come to our schools to harass. They come with armed policemen. If the bills are reasonable, you can say, okay, yes, because one thing we keep telling our members, which we keep relating to these agencies of government, is that we are not saying we want to avoid paying taxes, because we know the benefits of using taxes to improve the environment, the society, providing amenities and all that. But it shouldn't be taxes that won't even enable us to run again because of the harassment. There are parents that pull their children. There are schools where when they came to harass like that with armed policemen, children got scared, told their parents they don't want to go back to school the following day. So parents started withdrawing their children. That's bad for business.
The incidence of high tuition fees and other related fees provoked the provisions that attempt to exempt private educational institutions from company income tax. However, the problem of multiple and illegal taxation has been a major headache of private school businesses for years. They are choking under the heavy tax burden imposed on them by various agencies of government across the states. Some of these taxes are business premises, waste management agencies fee, local government levies, emblems for school buses, signage or billboards, tenement rate, land use charge, development fees, amongst others.
We also have corporate parking charge. Even when cars are parked inside our school compound, area councils insist that you must pay them for parking cars inside your school. And we wonder, how does that work? Some that we are paying with one agency, another agency, particularly the area councils, we come again and ask us to pay exactly the same. That one is for that agency, this one is for them.
The tax burden has adversely affected the quality and quantity of teachers, forced operators to charge high school fees, and caused lack of funds to purchase quality learning materials. These effects go a long way to diminish quality of learning in schools. The school operators are of the view that tax agencies and offices should provide some sort of tax guide to private school businesses. This will guide them on what to pay, when to pay, and most importantly, who to pay to.
For economic growth, they are talking about ease of doing business. We don't enjoy that at all. It's, in fact, what we keep saying is lack of ease of doing business, making the school to need to pay like 2 million instead of 200,000. Of course, the school that maybe would want to increase salaries will not be able to increase salaries. So teachers are going to bear the brunt. Parents, of course, we will bring it back to parents. We will increase school fees. Instead of a school that is supposed to be able to provide maybe 10,000 books in their library, because they are paying too many taxes, we'll reduce the number. Maybe we'll provide like 2,000 books in a library that's supposed to have 10,000 books. So we know that the quality of learning of the children is also going to reduce.
Furthermore, government should see the services being provided by private school operators as more of social services than businesses.
Okay, schools, education, taxes. I'm a little bit confused, but every day we learn, and I'm still going to be sitting with another lecturer to teach me on this one. I'm going to ask the questions to him pointedly when we get to him. But before then, let's go to Benin. I was counting hotels in Benin. Internet, that means the registered one, actually gave me almost 450 hotels. That tells me a lot of things are happening around there. But how are they coping with the multiple taxation with the hotel industry there? Let's see it.
Every government desires to meet the needs of the people in terms of development, and this is only made possible by tax paid by citizens, which the government puts into judicious use. Thus, the need for taxation cannot be overemphasized. The burden of multiple taxation on hoteliers in Benin City, Edo State, remains a front burner in the minds of stakeholders.
One of the impacts is that it reduces the revenue of the hotel. When you pay multiple, when you pay like value-added tax, consumption tax, withholding tax, at the end of the day, it's going to affect the profits of the hotel.
If this thing can be harmonized, say this is our levy, rather than Oredo will come, environmental people will come, validation people will come, signage will come. So there are a lot of levy, and all these are within Oredo local government. But to a larger extent, it comes deep into our profit.
The essence of paying tax is to see development, is to see a lot of things happening. Here in Benin, I practically run this property on diesel, and you're here asking me to pay this, you're here asking me to pay that, and I'm not seeing any benefit of those taxes. I think they should look inward.
Because by the letters of the law, there's multiple taxation. Why is that? Because these taxes are spelled out for different tiers of government. They are collectible by different tiers of government. You have taxes that are collected by federal government, you have that's collected by states, and that's taxes collectible by local governments. So it's not necessarily that multiple taxes are bad, because different arms, like I earlier said, have what they collect. Duplicity of taxes, that is wrong. When for the same tax item, revenue line item, you collect more than you should. There's this wrong, erroneous impression that everything is taxed. When you pay for services, you are just paying. It's like paying for your phones. You want to recharge your phones, you pay. You go to the hospital, you pay. It doesn't mean it's tax. It's actually levies.
To encourage the business of hospitality, investors are optimistic of eased taxation effects.
All right. We now know that there are some things you pay for. She clearly explained it. When you're buying your recharge card, it's not tax. It is you paying for something, services you're using. And you notice I was just talking and I'm darting to my right. That's because my guest is already seated with me. So let's quickly welcome the next lecturer on board, Michael Ango, the partner and head of tax advisory and regulatory services at Anderson, Nigeria. Nice to have you. It's actually my second time of chatting with you.
Yeah.
And each of them, there is always something to pick up from. But let me ask you pointedly, do you believe that in Nigeria we have multiple taxation?
So before I answer you first, I'm not a lecturer. I aspire to be something, but probably
For here, I'm learning from you, so you're my lecturer.
Okay. Yes, the very short answer to your question is yes, there are multiple taxes in Nigeria. Multiple taxation refers to an instance where you have different tiers or different agencies or revenue authorities taxing either the same income base or the same transaction. So it is factual to say that there is multiple taxation in Nigeria. Of course, if there wasn't multiple taxation in Nigeria, we wouldn't be here in the studio discussing it. Several initiatives by government, several laws and regulations to try and minimize, because you cannot ultimately eliminate the issue of multiple taxation. But yes, there is multiple taxation. It's a major issue in some instances. It actually impacts business negatively.
All right.
Especially in areas like the haulage industry,
Haulage industry.
Haulage, the entertainment, or what you call hotels and all of that, But it is something that is prevalent. Even in the telecom sector, you have that issue, because when you have telcos complaining about all sorts of charges imposed on them by states in which they have either their masts or their cell sites and all of that. So it's a major issue in Nigeria, no doubt about that.
All right, so you are the head of tax advisory and regulatory service in Anderson, Nigeria.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to advise me as a partner in the company. How do I move forward and avoid multiple taxation?
Well, you have to come and see me on Monday and pay the consultancy, so I'll give you advice. But the reality is that the basis upon which multiple taxation occurs is really because we're not implementing our laws in the way that they should be. Nigerian laws are very clear. We have a constitution that delineates the taxing powers between the three tiers of government, the federal, states, and local governments. We also have the Taxes and Levies Approved List for Collection Act, which also then specifies clearly, in detail, it lists out each of the tax fees and levies that each tier of government can collect. And in fairness to the federal government has very limited taxing jurisdiction in terms of items that it can tax. It collects company income tax, value-added tax, petroleum profit tax, the information technology levy, and a few other things, stamp duties between companies and all of that. Most of the taxes and levies that you see in the Taxes and Levies Approved List for Collection Act are due to states and federal government. So I think the states have about 25 tax or levy items, and the local government have about 21. Having said that, if you do business in Nigeria, it is not likely that there is any means by which you can avoid it ultimately. So a very simple example is that if you are moving items, say from Abuja or anywhere in the north to the south of Nigeria, say Lagos, you are likely to encounter, points at which you'll be asked to either, depend on what you are carrying, produce permit, advertisement levy and all of that, if you have a sticker on your truck. So these things are there. But you see, the reality again is that we have our laws which are very clear on what should be collected and by who. But unfortunately, implementation is weak. And so that's really where the major issue is. Now, you might refuse to pay those taxes, but the challenge is what happens if you are not in a position to refuse to pay, if you understand what I mean. So these are the issues. So as a business, it's really to understand what your obligations are. If you discharge your obligations and then someone writes to you and says you need to come and pay a tax for wearing a lovely black dress on a Sunday morning, you then say, where is it in the law? And if you feel strongly enough about it, then you can go to court and say, look, I do not agree that this tax should be imposed on me. And then, of course, you're likely to get a favorable ruling from the courts. The challenge, again, is that you may do a cost-benefit analysis to say, look, if I go to court to challenge this thing, how long will it take to resolve it? I have to pay my lawyers and all of that. Look, why don't I just pay this? And so what happens really is that people choose convenience. But it's not always right, because you will still grapple with this same issue next year, next month, or next week, as the case may be.
So it's better to get it over and done with. Speaking
with.
of business, somebody just sent us a message here. He says, please, sir, is there any yearly statutory tax for a business name, even when the business is not yet in operation? I mean, I want to start a business. I just chose the name. I'm probably registered, but I haven't started.
Very good question, and that is one of the challenges. You see, I will give him a short answer. Do not register a business name, or any name for that matter, if you are not ready to start business. Because from the moment you register these things, there are obligations under our laws. So for example, once you register that business name, you have an obligation to file your monthly VAT returns, whether you have carried out any business or not.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes, I mean, that's what the law says. If you don't have any transaction for the month, then you file a nil returns, and other things like that. So unfortunately, people sometimes register business names or even companies in anticipation of doing business. You don't start business yet, but your filing obligations are not waiting for you. If you're a corporate entity, for example, you should file your annual tax returns, which are due 30th of June. Whether you have done business or not, you filed nil, of course, if you have met the filing threshold and all of that. So there are lots of issues that come. I think it's a case of education. If you do not have an income of up to 30,000 naira a month, which is the national minimum wage, then you do not pay tax. You are totally exempt from tax. But if you, for example, sell your goods or wares in a market, and the law has allowed for market levies, waste levy, for example, then you are eligible to pay it. The challenge for those people really is that a lot of the levies that they are forced to pay are not documented. Also, the collection process is not transparent. So one guy just wakes up, comes in the morning, he wears a uniform and says he's a market official, cuts a ticket and gives it to you, 50 naira, 20 naira. Where that money goes to, neither yourself nor any of the persons in the market knows where it's going to. So I think it's a challenge of transparency and accountability. But in terms of whether they should pay all those things, some of them are in the law, and that's the reality.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to sound elitist and say they should educate themselves. Some of the market groups can actually arrange themselves and make representation and say, look, we want to understand, why is the woman selling ugu? Why is she paying for parking levy, for example, when she doesn't have a car? She doesn't hire a truck to come into the market. So why should she pay parking? So these are questions that you can ask, and you'll be surprised that if you ask questions, you will get a response.
Okay, speaking of asking questions, someone already asked, a lot of people are complaining here, I don't want to read them one by one, but the sum total is, why should I pay tax when I'm not getting the return? And if I feel agitated about the tax I'm paying for regular infrastructure, as a citizen, what do I do?
You should pay tax because that's what the law says.
Okay.
Why should I not drive on one way if the road is bad? Because I need to get home quicker than I would ordinarily have. But it's wrong to drive on one way. So likewise, it is wrong to avoid taxes because you perceive that the government or the collecting authority is not utilizing your taxes properly.
Can I ask questions?
Absolutely. That is why we're in a democracy. You have a local government chairman, you have a councillor, you have a state governor, you have your House of Reps, House of Assembly, you even have elected officials, even you have a House of Reps, Senator. You can ask questions. The challenge is that in our practice of democracy, the social contract between the citizens and the government, there's usually, a break in the sense that the citizens will usually deliver their own bit in terms of paying of taxes, voting, and all of that. But when it comes to the returns, they do not usually see the returns commensurate to what they believe they've put in. So it's a case of asking questions, and then when you feel that you've not been treated fairly or properly, when you have a chance to change leadership, then you can change your leadership.
All right, so let's take just one more question before we take a break, and this is coming from the online students, where this person has a double-barrel question, but let's just take the first one. It says, is tax assessment based on operating capital or profits?
Assessments are based on profits. Nobody will tax your capital. Okay, you pay taxes on profits. That's for companies, of course. For individuals, you pay tax on income. But for companies and businesses generally, you pay tax on income, on profits rather, not on capital.
Okay, so Onyinyechi Grace, for writing in from Umahia, says she's a fashion designer and she owns a shop. She does not have a shop yet. Is it possible to, still pay tax? Probably she's working from home.
Wherever she's working from, even if she's working in the cloud.
Or iCloud.
iCloud, she should pay tax. And that's why, in fact, recently, we've had laws introduced in Nigeria that even tax things that are done in the digital economy, online transactions and all. So even if she has an account maybe on Facebook or any other platform, and then people come to that platform and purchase them, and then she sends it by God is Good Motors or some other means, she's supposed to pay tax. It's not, taxation doesn't have to do with whether you have a physical location or not. Taxation is about whether you are earning income and profits.
This tax thing is hard. It's hard. Okay, dash money. Do I pay tax on dash money?
Well, again, the definition
Don't
of...
tell me. Don't tell me that.
You asked, if I dash you money, it forms part of your income. That's the reality. Because gifts form part of income, except there are gifts that are exempted. So that's the honest truth.
I'm so done with you.
Yes.
I'm so done with you. My gift is I pay tax.
I didn't write it.
All right, Nigerians. I will let him be. Michael Ango, thank you so much for coming. And once again, he is partner and head of tax advisory and regulatory services at Anderson, Nigeria. It's been quite, eye-opening for me, and I know for a lot of us out there. Let's quickly go on a break, and we'll be right back. It is still Weekend Deal, and when we talk about obesity, the next thing we talk about is what do we do to ensure that we eat right and still stay fit. And that's on that basis we'll bring you the next thing, which is the Tasty Cuisine. We'll be showcasing a dish called vegetable sausages and, of course, salad. Let's see how it goes.
Cooking unites families, friends, and loved ones because we are able to experience the taste of various cuisines and their culinary skills. and perceive the aroma from the fresh, minty African spices and greens. Do you want to take your taste buds to a spectacular journey? Come with us to the kitchen. My name is Susan Adamu. Welcome to Tasty Cuisine.
Today we shall be making sausage vegetable salad. And we have lots of vegetable ingredients here on our kitchen table to prepare this delicious meal. First of all, we have to wash our hands too. This is going to be a good dish, a good salad which you can share with your family. Now we're going to make this sausage salad with some sausage, sweet corn, peas, cucumber, green pepper, onions, fresh tomatoes. We have our cabbage here. Now we are also going to serve this salad with our avocado banana smoothie, so it can go down well. Okay, you can make your sausage salad. You can use it raw, just like that. It's still okay, but for you to have the crunchy taste and the filling, and you know that, so we're gonna fry ours. We're going to add our sausage now. Sausage vegetable salad is all ready for consumption. So, but for us to enjoy this meal, we're going to be making our banana and avocado smoothie.
Nigeria has a varied and rich culinary tradition, whether we like it or not. So eat healthy and stay healthy.
All right, weekend deal this week is, closely closed. Let's be good citizens. Remember, if you haven't taken anything, whatever it is, you must pay our tax. And then don't get, into multiple taxation because you're ignorant. Let's get ourselves educated. And of course, with due time, the proceeds will be ours. I'll see you again next time and continue to be good citizens. Bye-bye for now.